So as the Airbnb service accommodation short-term rental industry is absolutely ballooning, there are opportunities that always comes across in growing markets. Now, how do you actually start a serviced accommodation Airbnb management business from the scratch, and what are the benefits? Well, look, that's exactly what we're going to get into in this video. The way we're going to start this is actually talking about, what short-term rental is. What is Airbnb? If you don't know what Airbnb is, then Airbnb is actually a platform, but it's just become so big that people are now, connecting the whole industry and they're just calling it Airbnb, right? But Airbnb is actually a platform itself. But short-term rental is where you're able to rent out your property on a night per night basis. Instead of dealing with tenants, you're actually dealing with guests. So they can rent you out for 1 night, 2 nights, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months, 6 months, whatever. They can rent out for a long period of time, but they're paying you, you're charging on a per night basis. So it is absolutely incredible. That's the reason it's growing so quickly, because it's now taking market share from the hotels. Because instead of just renting a room from the hotel, you're actually renting the whole apartment. It's a home away from home. You've got the freedom and the flexibility to move around. So that's exactly what short-term rental is. The issue that a lot of people are finding with landlords and investors is it's a service-based business. So you have to deliver a service, right? And this is where the opportunities then comes in for people like you and I to go into management. Just like letting agents manage properties for landlords, the serviced accommodation, the short-term rental, the Airbnb management is starting to become a growing sector. And it is absolutely incredible for landlords because, look, they don't have the time to be managing guests, to be managing cleaning teams and handymen and all these sort of things. They just want to make money. They have got the assets and they want to use the asset to generate an income. And that's where you come in, because if you're able to provide this service, right, where you get to manage the guests, you get to manage the cleaning team, the handyman, to make sure everything is running smoothly and they're generating an income, all of a sudden that is worth something to them and they're happy to pay you handsomely for it. For those of you who are already aware about the service accommodation industry, this is very, very different to, what's known as the rent-to-rent model, or the arbitrage model, as I think they call it in America. Because what you're doing there is you're renting the property from a landlord with something called a guaranteed rent, which guaranteed rent doesn't actually exist, because how do you actually guarantee it? If anything happens and you can't pay the rent, then you can't pay the rent, right? So it's not actually guaranteed, but, offer something called a guaranteed rent to the landlord, which means every single month we guarantee that we're going to be paying you the rent, okay? And then the landlord allows them under contract to sublet the property, which means they then get to benefit from whatever difference they're able to make from what the property is rented out for on a monthly basis and what they're able to generate, as an Airbnb model. This is very, very different. This is actually managing the property on behalf of the landlord. So the landlord or the investors actually get to benefit from the uplift in profits, from whatever the difference is from what they would normally get from the rental to what they would actually get from the open market on the Airbnb. They get to benefit from that. And you being a management company, you get paid for that. Here's the difference. On the rent-to-rent model, a lot of landlords have now been conditioned to the market. They now understand that actually people keep saying they're going to guarantee you this rent, but where there's a lot of cowboys coming into the industry, not analyzing the area properly, not actually knowing exactly how much profit is going to be there, and when it comes down to it, they actually can't guarantee the rent. Oftentimes they don't end up paying the rent, and then the issue comes where they have to hand the properties back to the landlord quickly, after they've promised the landlord that they're going to give them guaranteed rent for 3 years, right? So now landlords are kind of looking at that model now going, we are not interested in that. But when you're coming in and saying, okay, we're a management company, this is something landlords are already accustomed to. They're already renting out the properties using letting agents, so they understand management. But now what you're saying to them is, because I'm managing it for you, on your behalf, you're going to make all of this money. So now it's an extra incentive for them because they're going to get more money, right? But on top of that, there are so many legislative benefits, like Section 24 exemption, entrepreneurs relief, capital allowances. They're just, the new EPC regulations coming in 2025, which says that, it's going to cost landlords on average of £8,000 to bring the property up to an EPC grade C, which is now the minimum standard from 2025, landlords can't afford that. A lot of landlords can't afford that. And the simple reality is if they're using the property as a service apartment, then that doesn't apply to them. So there are huge benefits, and landlords right now are just lapping it up. So once again, this is how you communicate that information to them. And then the best bits, for yourself or someone looking to get into this business is you don't actually have to own these properties, right? You don't have to rent these properties, meaning you don't actually have to put money down. There's not going to be any credit checks. No one needs to actually verify your income. None of all of that matters. All that matters is, are you able to deliver a service, look after my guests, manage the cleaning team, manage the handyman, and make sure this business is running smoothly. And once you can do that, you're in. Once you're able to get that across to them that you know exactly what you're doing, you are in. And this is why I'm really, really passionate about this strategy, because this can take absolutely anyone who has got the zeal, the desire, the hunger to do something and change their lives, and they can go out there and start generating income with very, very little. And this is the beauty about the service accommodation management model, okay? And then the beauty about this is that, another point is when you're looking at it from the landlord's point of view is they're able to generate cash a lot quicker, but now they're actually able to grow their property portfolios a lot quicker. Because if you're generating income, first of all, you got more money in the bank, so that's one thing. But secondly, because it's now a commercial entity, they're not able to go to the brokers and say, hey, I want to refinance my property, but not on the value of the bricks and mortar. I want to refinance my property based on what my business generates. And the mortgage brokers will have a load. They'll say, oh, wow, your business is generating quite a lot, and we can see it's being consistent and is doing this over this period of time. You know what? We're happy to give you that. Now they take that money and they go and buy another one, and they go and buy another one, and they're able to do that quicker and build their portfolios up a lot quicker. And that is why landlords are now flocking to this model, and they're looking for people like you, people like I, to come in and start managing the property. So that is why right now there has never been a better time. Look at the current economy. Landlords are selling the properties left, right, and center because of the increase in mortgage interest. They can't afford the payment. And no one is offering them an option, an alternative to actually increase their rents, because you can't. The market has a fixed rent. Everyone else is struggling. We've got a cost of living crisis. So people can't actually afford to pay more rent. With the service accommodation model, you can actually offer landlords an opportunity to generate more income, pay their mortgages, pay less in taxes, and actually start to increase their property portfolios and not shrink their property portfolios. So this is exactly why this is now becoming one of the fastest growing strategies in the UK right now. So do not miss out on this. This is your chance to start from zero and grow something really, really quickly. The other big difference between people who are doing the rent-to-rent model and the service accommodation management model is you're able to grow that portfolio really quickly. With the service accommodation management model, you can grow it really quickly because you're removing the barriers between yourself and the landlords. Those barriers are no longer there because now you're just representing them and helping them to run their businesses. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have liked this video, then make sure to click the like button. Comment, let me know what your thoughts are and how you're thinking of moving forward. And then also do not forget to subscribe, because we're looking to grow this as much as possible so we can get out to as many people as possible. And I will see you all on the next video.